Barrett from Nebraska Farm Business Inc. says this could be a good time for ag producers to perform a financial tune-up. In a recent Crop Watch article on the subject, Tina laid out 4 steps you can take to help analyze your situation. She joined us Thursday morning to explain why a financial tune-up could be a beneficial move for an operation.
Well, and we think about that with our equipment all the time and don't even think twice about sending the combine and the tractor in for those repairs, make sure they're ready to go. And we don't think about that so much from the financial side, partly because it's not so much fun and there really aren't huge consequences that we can immediately see tied to that. But at the same time, by having those financials in a good shape, it really can provide us a lot of benefits.
You've outlined 4 steps. Step number 1 is balance your financial records. Why is it important?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like the cornerstone of your business, of having good records. And, we can probably put together a good business with shaky records, but we probably could put together a better business if we had those solid records. So, each of those steps kind of comes into play, and you may be already in step 3, but if you haven't gotten to the point where you're balancing records to your bank statements, and that includes loan statements, and making sure everything is accounted for in your records, that's certainly the first place to start.
Step 2 is keep meaningful records, and essentially does that mean splitting expenses for specific categories?
Right, sure. I mean, we could have everything in the program, but if you've got principal payments and expenses and non-farm expenses in with your farm stuff, they're not meaningful. We haven't done anything. So we really want to make sure that we're splitting everything the way it's supposed to be, even to the point of making sure that co-op bill is split between chemicals and fertilizer and fuel so that we really know what you're paying for.
Step 3 is accrual adjustments. Now, does that mean you're trying to keep each year separate to try and find out where you are?
Sure. So, accrual can kind of be of a big step from cash. Cash everybody understands, and that's usually how we file tax returns, so it's kind of easy. But accrual is really trying to separate that out of that production year. So, we may be taking prepaid expenses out of this year and putting them into next, bringing those grain sales back into the year that grain was raised, those kinds of things, so that we can really see how that production year went.
And the final step is then to evaluate what you have. So you're talking about trying to get people to look at ratios. Why is it important?
Well, we have these, and lenders talk about them, and economists talk about them, and there really is an important thing there. And I kind of tell you, it's kind of like putting a puzzle together to kind of see. We have all these pieces, but until we start putting them together, we really can't tell the picture that's there. And there's definitely a story that your numbers are trying to tell you. And it may mean that things are headed towards a problem. It may mean that things are good, but if you don't know, it's really kind of hard to be navigating through this.
So which ratios are most beneficial?
I think that's really tough because a lot of people want to say, well, just give me one number I want to watch. And, again, it's kind of like going back to that puzzle and saying, I'm just going to look at this one corner and assume that the rest of it's okay. And that really depends on your operation. Some of them become very important if you're highly leveraged. Then we really want to look at debt to asset ratio, our liquidity ratios like working capital. If you don't have a lot of debt, those ratios don't mean a lot. Maybe we're looking at our efficiency ratios and how well you're doing in turning those gross income into dollars that you keep. So it really depends on the operation, and it really kind of matters on putting them all together to get that whole picture.
What information, software, tools are available to help producers try to tackle some of this?
Well, and I think it's really important to understand that good records doesn't necessarily come from one program or one, anything else. I have great record keepers who use a hand-kept record book, and I would never ask them to change. And if that works for you, great. Maybe, you've got a specific software program that works for you too, again, perfect. There's lots of choices out there. Something that works with your accountant, something that is user-friendly for you. Those are the most important things.